What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. So I have another one by Jason Whitlock, and this is the one about Jordan proves LeBron James is the most destructive force for the NBA. As long and LeBron, yeah, he is. What is it? Four-time NBA champion, but we're gonna find out how destructive he's become to the NBA. So let's listen and hear out Jason, and then we'll hear Jordan in this.
On Michael Jordan. He's become what I would affectionately call the Black Shadow. And that's a playoff. Remember, there was a TV show called The White Shadow. This fictional basketball player, Ken Reeves, that's coaching a high school basketball team in Los Angeles in the hood. White guy, they call him the White Shadow. Jordan is the Black Shadow that hovers over the NBA like a dark cloud. And he's a constant reminder of how things suck right now. And you really don't need that if you're the NBA. This constant throwback to Jordan in the good old days, and this constant reminder, like, man, these athletes today, they're lazy, they don't play as hard, and so they had a conversation last night with Michael Jordan about load management, and that's really the post-game conversation from decent night of NBA players, the start of the season, NBA on NBC. They're doing a nice job. But the highlight is, hey man, how can Jordan remind us that this era sucks in comparison to his era? And they did it again last night. Let's watch Michael Jordan's 3-minute halftime appearance on the NBA, post show or halftime show, pregame show. Let's watch the clip.
Okay, before we watch this clip, so yeah, Michael's gonna go all talk about how he played and while the fan up there in Detroit. So this is going to be an interesting, expert of what Michael Jordan's going to say.
Michael Jordan is hovering over the NBA, and I get why. This is not a criticism of Michael Jordan. It's really a criticism of Adam Silver and the executives and ownership in the NBA. They can't come up with a solution for what's wrong with the NBA. And so they're like allowing Michael Jordan and the media to mostly drive the discussion about what's wrong with the NBA. This is Adam Silver is the worst, the weakest commissioner I've ever seen in professional sports in my lifetime.
You know, I was even thinking about David Stern. And at first, when I was younger, I was thinking, man, David, you're very strict and this, and you got to have players, dress up and suits. But now, as I'm older at my age now, I'm like, okay, I get why David Stern did what he did. And and of course, what MJ and the others before him, Isaiah, a Magic, a Bird, Dr. J, there was like no such thing as load management. And the thing is, so if I buy a ticket to an NBA game, which I'm not in America, but if I was to go watch the NBA and I bought a ticket to go see what is it, Victor Wembanyama in San Antonio, and he doesn't play, I'm like, hey, what the hell? I wasted all this money. I understand if he's like really hurt, but if you're not hurt because of load management, I'm like, this is a ripoff. So yeah. So, but yeah, this is the problems with the NBA with and of course, but the thing is, LBJ actually plays 80 games, but then of course this season, I don't know what the hell's wrong right now, but yeah.
He has no solutions. And so he's allowing their premier, because again, the NBA on NBC is now, to me, in the catbird seat. They're the top, they're what TNT used to be. Now that the TNT show's on ESPN, it's the NBA on NBC. And now they're using the greatest player of all time to basically subtly take a dump on the NBA.
So, I mean, I 100% agree with everything Michael's saying, and I agree with everything that you indicated as well about how much better this current product is, or how much better the product was before than today. But my point is this: like, the NBA is making a miscalculation in themselves talking this up. Like, they shouldn't be highlighting this or bringing this to light in my humble estimation. Like, I talk about this kind of stuff all the time on my own platforms. I will continue to talk about it with what Michael said last night, in agreement of what Michael is saying. But for the NBA and NBC to be casting a light upon it, and they themselves talking it up, is really just undermining the current product. The best way to move forward from LeBron James, which I agree, we have to. LeBron James is the most destructive force the NBA has ever seen. He is the only player that has left the game worse than the one that he inherited. So I 100%, I have been waiting for like a decade to move on from this guy. He continues to cling on with dear life to the NBA right now, trying to keep his fingerprints all over it for as long as he possibly can. We have to move away from him, but in my estimation, the best way to do that is to move forward with these new bright rising young stars in the NBA, and not in focusing on the greatest player that ever existed in the sports history, that retired 20 years ago, 25 years ago, really. He had his last, marquee moment, in my estimation, in 1998. So we're approaching 30 years now in the post-Jordan era kind of deal. So I just think, why bring this guy in if he's just going to be talking up himself and his former era? I think it's just kind of undermining the youth that's coming out now.
Paul, my pushback would be, you as a former coach and understanding the coaching profession, when you're talking about young people, I don't think they're persuadable. I think they can only be forced to adopt change. And so you think, and you and Adam Silver and NBC perhaps think, hey, we're going to put out enough information, and I mean propaganda in a positive sense, that's going to persuade these guys to do better. They can only be forced. We've paid them way too much money. Many of them come from a hip hop culture of entitlement and a mindset that they can't be persuaded, because they don't even understand basic logic. And so my argument is, this is ineffective, and what they really need is old school leadership. They need a Bobby Knight. They need a Michael Jordan, perhaps, to be commissioner, and to say, we're not doing it this way anymore, and we've adopted rules. But because I remember when David Stern said, hey, we're doing a dress code, and everybody was, oh, he's racist, and how dare he ask these guys to dress like professionals? Doesn't he realize that black guys, have to dress like they're gangbangers, or they're not authentically black? And then once he did it, everybody was like, oh man, this is much better. And he forced it on them. That's the only way to deal with young people. Again, Paul, you're probably a father. You're certainly a coach.
No, I'm actually not.
Oh, I'm sorry. But you're a coach, and I'm just kids do what they're forced to do. Persuading them, very, very difficult.
Yeah, in today's times, yeah. I liked with David. Now, as I've mentioned about that dress code, when I was younger, I was like, what the heck? But now, the players, are not all thugging out and stuff. And yeah, they're just basic, dress code, and they look pretty good. And, they're just walking through the airport instead of walking through the airport dealing with TSA like you're all thugged out. So, yeah, I get why David Stern was, why he did what he did now. And the sad thing is, now with Adam Silver, it's like, we don't know what we're going to get. But what we know is I think David Stern did a better job than Adam Silver. But we'll have to see, but it's not getting better. So, yeah.
Particularly this era of kids. And so I think it's huffing and puffing about a problem that we're all aware of. These guys are lazy. They're entitled. They don't want to deal with aches and pains and blah. And so only thing we should be talking about is solutions. Persuasion won't work. And I don't think the fans that you think he's doing outreach to, I don't think they can be persuaded by nostalgia. If they don't see a different product, more effort, and less load management, they're not coming back. These players are unlikable. The fans that have been run off, they're traditional family people with traditional values. They don't want their kids mimicking the behavior of these current professional athletes. Paul, ball's back in your court.
Back to how you opened the show, you talked about a process. I do believe that this is part of a process. It is, again, I hate to repeat it, but it is out with the old, in with the new. And some of these new players or newer players, they are marketable, but the stench and the overlay covering of what it has been for the last 20 to 23 years, I cannot emphasize this enough. I study this daily. From a business and entrepreneurial perspective, they have pushed away people, and I know your age, Jason, I don't know Jay's age, but the 30, 35, 45, 55, 65, many have left. They can relate to Jordan, and by the way, we cannot go to the finish line in terms of what he's going to talk about with Tarico over the next, say, 2 hours and 45 minutes worth, or the fluidity, and if they will add more. I do believe we're going somewhere here. I don't think NBC is going to blow this and just make it about what we've heard in the first 6-7 minutes. I think we will get there. Is he going to draw X's and O's? Probably not, but I don't think that that's what's needed. He's the only person in the world, except for maybe Tiger Woods and Tom Brady, that can speak to everybody and say, look, here's how it was. Now get these new players to buy in. I do think the Anthony Edwards, I do think the Giannis, I do think Cooper Flags, I do think that those people are impressionable and persuadable and may take his guidance. I do believe that.
Scap.
Yeah, I just have to fundamentally disagree. Paul, I don't think you referenced 20 to 23 years or whatever. I disagree. This started right around 2011, 2012, like basically when Kobe Bryant ceded control of the NBA, stopped being the true face of the NBA, and LeBron James took over. That's when it all went to crap, in my estimation, because even if you could argue that the 90s were better than the early 2000s, there were still players carrying the baton of the way the game was intended to be played, competing the way that the former players did in previous eras. Somewhere along the line, the leadership on the court in this current era, which begins with LeBron James, dropped the baton. They let go of the rope, and now all of the other players that follow behind him are kind of just following his lead, playing like the Pied Piper in this like perpetual just era of destruction that he has authored.
All right, so yeah, with MJ, yep, he did it. And of course, a lot of us could relate, because I even when I was talking to like my buddy, because he's not into sports, but he remembers back in the 90s with MJ, he watched, and if we missed a game, it was like you were missing like everything about it. That was like when basketball was at its highest ratings, even with Kobe playing afterwards. But when we had 20 million plus viewers watching MJ, and then LeBron comes. Okay, yeah, he's the next big thing, but LeBron just pretty much just kind of just sat there and destroyed a lot of it. And yeah, I could maybe agree, like in 11, with LeBron, he was being in Miami and then went to Cleveland, and now he's with my Lakers, and I'm just like waiting for him to go so I could be a Laker fan again and see how the Lakers do. But yeah, But it is what it is, and now we'll see if the NBA could recover. Right now, I think it's going to be really a long road to recovery for the NBA. So we'll have to see. All right, if any of you enjoyed any of this content, please give me the HKO special. Help the king out. Hit the like and subscribe and comment. And wherever you are, stay safe. And I'll see you in my next video.